Hi guys, further to our previous chat, we're going to look at how we would receive a pass in volleyball and what our positions would be. So at the moment we've got a setter in position 1, a middle in front in position 2, a hitter in position 3, the opposite for the setter in position 4, the middle in 5 opposite my other middle, and my hitter in 6 opposite my other hitter in the front. So we'll do this as if this blue line is the net. And I've just divided this into 1/3, 2/3, and 3, and the third. So essentially what you want to make sure is when you have a backcourt setter system, so when you've got 2 setters, you want to make sure that whichever setter is in the backcourt is not passing the ball, because their job is to take the second ball and set it up for play. The reason we would run a backcourt setter system is because if your setter is running from backcourt, you still have 3 options in the front court for hitting. Whereas if you had a setter that was in front court, you would only have 2 options because they themselves would have been the 3rd option. But they cannot set themselves, and therefore it leaves you with only 2 options. So for us, we will run a backcourt setter system, and we need to make sure that whichever setter is in the backcourt at the time, that they are not going to be in the pass when they are receiving a serve. So to start off with, if this is how we set up at the start of the game and the opposition was serving to us, we would want to remove this person from the pass. So what we get them to do is to walk forward and take themselves out of the pass. Now what that means is everyone else needs to fill a gap. So our hitter in the middle will fill this gap here and pass over there, and then everyone else will slide along so that we still cover the court. Now, key things to remember in this is that our hitter remains inside our middle. Okay, so when they start, this hitter needs to be on the left side of our middle. So when they retreat to our gap, they still need to be on the left side of this middle. The other thing is that our setter must remain to the right side of this hitter here, because if you remember at the start, this setter starts on the right side of this hitter. So when our setter moves forward and takes the person in front of them with them, and this hitter moves back to the gap, remaining on the left side of our middle, our setter can move all the way in as long as they do not cross the path of our hitter here. Our setter also needs to remain behind this middle because they started in the back rotation. So essentially the way that we look at this is that this setter, or this player here, needs to be behind this middle when the ball is served. This hitter needs to be the left side of this person and in front of this person and to the right side of this person. The person in position 4 over here needs to be the left side of this person and also in front of this person. When we get to position 5, when the serve is made, we need to make sure they are behind this player and to the left side of this player. And for our position 6, they need to be behind the person in front and in between these 2 players here. So first rotation, when they're serving at us, we would move to this position here, and we would have 3 hitting options. So depending on how you run this next section, you would have your middle hitting from behind here, your passer hitter coming through the middle to have a hit, and then your opposite hitting outside for 1. In the middle of the play, our setter would go back to their original position, our middle would move to the middle, our hitter would move to the outside, and our opposite would move opposite our setter. We would also traditionally have our pass hitter on the side and our middle play in 6. But it's important that that can only happen mid-play, and when the point ends, we must return to how we were originally set up. So your opposite needs to be opposite your setter, your middle needs to go back to position 2, and everybody needs to fall into the same place that they began. If we then rotate 1, so we all rotate 1 spot, okay, you can see that we're still opposite the same position as our own. Now again, in this, if we are doing serve receive, our setter does not want to pass the ball, backcourt setter, so they would walk forward and take that person in front of them with them. Everyone else fills the gap. Okay, so we've got 4 passes in the back. They're passing the ball up to the setter, who has 3 options for hitting. Again, we need to remember that this person needs to stay in between these 2 at the back, and behind this person in the front. This person needs to remain in between these 2 and in front of this person here. So they can go all the way out to the side, and they're still in rotation because they're still in front of our setter and to the left-hand side of our hitter. If we go to the next rotation, so if we were to rotate one position again, okay, if we were to receive a serve in this, again, our setter walks forward, takes the person in front of them with them, and everyone else goes to the gap. So again, 4 passes, middle is staying to the right-hand side of this player here. Our setter needs to stay behind our hitter and to the left-hand side of this player here. And this player needs to remain in front of this player here. Okay, and to the side of our middle, which is fine because they're very much in rotation here. So again, we've got 3 options. So 1 hitter, 2 hitter, and 3, plus our backcourt options. So back to where we were again. In this next rotation, you'll see that our setter who was in the front court now goes to the backcourt. And what that means, because we have a backcourt setter system, is this player then becomes the setter. And this person would then just play a hitting role in the front so that we have 3 options. The same serve-receive positions happen again. So this player will walk forward and take the person in front of them with them, and everyone else fills a gap. So that same process is repeated.